Welcome to Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Terry Lynn. I am a virtual assistant, bookkeeper, and international business strategist. I love leveling up, creating strategies, and thinking outside of the box, especially with serial entrepreneurs because we are impacting the world with new innovations, community collaboration, and global technology. We will discuss strategies that stifle mental chaos so that you can create habits and outstanding success right here on Chaos. Good morning, Miss Laura Armstrong.
Good morning.
How are we this morning?
We are awesome. Every day I wake up, I'm like, what else is possible today? So I'm excited to see what's going to happen today.
Yeah, after the Capitol got stormed yesterday, we just don't know what to expect, do we?
That's right. You just never know.
I don't know if that was funny or serious or a fiasco or just a comedy show or what that was, but
Craziness.
yes. And I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of craziness in your life and in your career. And let's talk about that. But first, I want to read your bio.
Sure.
You are a leadership accelerator. I like it. Communication expert, a three-time world champion. You help develop skills. You give tools and map out the action plan to reach full potential. Sorry. Throughout your career, you've always tried to be a beacon of leadership to those around you. As a three-time world champion martial artist, you know what it takes to get to the pinnacle of success and create a leadership legacy that ripples out into the world, both personally and professionally. Your skills and experience have defined who you are and what you have to offer, and how you help others step into their power and greatness. Your experience and accumulated knowledge from working in the corporate world to becoming a world championship martial artist and a communication expert has provided you the ability to effectively teach others to heal and balance their mind body connection and step into their greatness.
Yay. I just love how that sounds.
I just love what you do. How in the world did you get into martial arts?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's just, I'm 54 now, right? And so I look back on my life and
Oh, wow.
you know,
Look
you
at your
just
gorgeous self.
thanks. Yeah. And you think back about all the stuff you've done and like we never I feel like as human beings in general we never give ourselves enough credit for what we do, and it's only when we're older that we actually like, yeah, I had a pretty, so far I've had a pretty incredible life, right? And like it wouldn't be possible if I didn't have all that accumulated baggage that I've brought with me, right? So baggage is seen as like a bad thing, but actually it just really makes us who we are, and how you use your baggage is really the key to stepping into your power, right? You could drag it along behind you, or you can hire a valet and have him push it beside you. So so how you want to deal with it is up to you. But from a very young age, like even in high school, like I was always an overweight kid, ever since I was like 8 or 9, and this came out later in my years, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit. But I was always interested in sports, and I loved camping, and I loved being physical. I was one of the first weightlifters in my high school who was a woman. And to be honest, my whole life I've been stepping into roles that are mostly male dominated. In the martial arts world, when I was a commodities
Wow.
trader, I was like one of the only women on the trading desk. And it's just really, you don't realize it at the time. You're just kind of stepping in and doing it like your everyday. But looking back, like so many more people are now, that's the norm, because that, first person took the step, right?
Right.
I mean, I remember I was a provincial champion for powerlifting and bodybuilding, and You know,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
I had people scouting me at the championships, and they come up to me afterwards, and they're like, "Look, you have the right genetics. We want to take you internationally," which would have meant, boatloads of money, recognition, helping other people, like all that stuff. But you're going to have to take the drugs, right? The steroids to get your body to look like it needed to win these, international championships. And I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, like in that area there. And I was like, no, because a lot of those hormones are not reversible on women, right? And it just never
Oh,
appealed
I
to me.
didn't know that.
Yeah, right. And so it's quite the culture, bodybuilding, and it's evolved over the last 50 years. And if you really want to know about it, read Arnold Schwarzenegger's book. Like, he is just amazing. Like, as a writer, like, he really puts it in context. So, I kind of stepped out of that. And I mean, I was hardcore training 2 to 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'd give myself one day off. Like, it was crazy. So, once it got to that point where I was at the best I could be naturally, I just didn't want to move forward from there. And so I took one of those, continuing education courses you can take at night. And so I was looking through the pamphlet. I'm like, oh, Aikido. I always wanted to do martial arts because I loved kicking ass. I loved kicking and punching, and I always wanted to learn how to do that, right? So I show up at this first class, and and so we talk about stance and learning how to roll. And the teacher, my teacher to this day, she's 4 foot nothing, Fran Turner. She's amazing. And she was a woman, which I loved, right? Again, a pioneer for martial arts, right? And so at the end of the class, we go through this class. It was interesting. I got to meet a lot of new people, and does anybody have any questions? And so of course my hand goes up, and I'm like, yeah, when do we get to the kicking and punching? Like, and she just kind of looks at me, right? And I had no idea what Aikido was. I just wanted to kick ass, right? And so, like, I'm in my early 20s, right? You're a god, right? So she just looks at me, and I can see this now when I reflect back on it, this look of patience in her eyes. And she's like, okay, here we go, right? She's like, okay, so Aikido's the art, Japanese art of self-defense. So we wait for the attack, we move off the line. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, we're not going to learn kicking and punching. This is a waste of my time. But you know what? I showed up at the next class, and then I showed up at the next class.
Yay.
And 31 years later,
Oh my
I
goodness.
almost had my fifth Dan. I had to quit because I had a bad motorcycle accident. I couldn't practice Aikido anymore. But in those years, I had also picked up another martial art, which was Filipino martial arts, which was more weapons based and hand-to-hand combat, which is more combative and realistic. And that's where I started competing internationally. I was never competing locally. I would qualify locally, but I was more on the international side of things. And I won my first title in my 30s. And I
Wow.
had my school. And then 10 years later, I decided to compete again in my early 40s just to see if I could do it.
10 years later.
Yeah, my body was not happy. So it was like, when you're working to train to that level, you as all athletes, you peak at uh, probably it takes 8 to 9 months to peak at the right time for competition. And I won one, but not two titles again. But my body, it was more injury management this time around 10 years later. And I just decided that's it, I'm retiring. But I coached the Canadian team for many years. My students have world titles, and so do their students.
That
So
is
I
so
know,
fantastic.
yeah, I know what it takes to create that leadership legacy, right? And use everything that I had
Right.
in those years. So at that point, I kind of was let go of where I was in corporate. It was just not a good ending. We settled out of court, and it just left me with a bad taste in my mouth. I decided that I'm now retired at the age of 42. I'm only going to do things that help people I love to do and make me more money than I can spend.
Yes.
Right? And I'm just like, what am I doing here? Because they would have just, and they replaced me with three people, right? So
Of
like,
course, I can see that.
so it's just, but that's okay, because if that never happened, I would have never stepped into leadership with
Right.
Laura. And I was a holistic practitioner for many years. So I was all about healing my students. That's why I started it. And it became this whole other thing where I started to expand and start to heal the world and teach different modalities and create healers in the world. And then, with COVID, am I talking too much? Do you want me to interrupt me, or
No,
just keep
go,
going? Okay.
go, no, go.
With COVID, it was like I couldn't see my clients or teach anymore. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here? And so I spoke to a brand strategist, and I told her my story. She's like, Laura, you're more famous than I am. Why aren't you teaching leadership and communication? But like, it's not an ego thing, because you just don't think of yourself that way. You just get up
Yes,
every day
right,
and you just do that
right,
stuff, right? And you don't see it as extraordinary, but to others, they're like, holy crap, right? So
right.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start to own this, because I never really talked about my world titles. Like, my students were like, I never thought about it. And I pulled everything out of storage, started taking pictures of it. And people are like, I didn't know that about you.
Right,
And I
exactly.
found right away what happened. And this is what I'm trying to get people to tap into, is right away my status, not only for myself, started to move, but the people I started to interact with moved. I started moving into a vibration or quality of people that I was interacting with, who wanted more, who wanted bigger things. And so I'm like, okay. So when I was talking again to the brand strategists, we created leadership training, leadership programs, communication training that was all preset, so people could step into it however it was best for them, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of where I am now. And I'd wanted to do this for 10 years, and with the circumstances in the world, I would have never had the opportunity. So I just really,
Wow.
yeah, wake up every day and wonder what's going to happen today, and I'm willing to have it however it shows up.
So we have leadership with Laura now because she was a three-time world champion. Now, I heard you mention several things. You're a motorcycle rider.
Yes, for many years, yes.
And what's your favorite motorcycle?
So my favorite is Suzuki. My last motorcycle, which I actually love just as much as my Suzuki, was a Yamaha Striker. So it's more like a chop bike where you sit back and relax. My husband likes the faster ones. I no, I'm all about comfort when I'm sitting on the bike, right? So yeah, but I haven't ridden in several years. I had two motorcycle accidents. One, I had to learn to walk again. So with all of the challenges in my life, I had to learn, these things. And then I had a car accident as well. And I just really feel like these events just contribute to your tenacity, still continuing to step in and push yourself to the next level. I could have sat in that, I could have sat there and like, oh, poor me, I just can't do anything,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that's just not who I am. And I've seen so many people pull themselves out of that because of, the fact that, they just need someone to save them. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's all
Right.
there is
You
for
have
you?
you have permission
Yeah.
to go forward. You
Yeah.
you you need to get off. You need to get back up on that horse. You
And
need
just
to take
like
some
you,
permission.
Terry Lynn, it's just like you give people the gas to do it, but they actually
Yeah,
have to do the work. I see so many
definitely.
people doing the work for people, and it just never works,
I
right? It's just,
try quite often. I
you
try,
know,
but because I'm a nurturer by nature,
I
so I
know.
try. But
You
yeah,
just got to let them figure it out.
they have to do their work. I have to say, I'm sorry. This is as far as I go for you. You have to get in there and put your personality in your business. I can
Exactly.
do all the grunge work. I can do all the paperwork. I can connect the dots. I can find the right software. I can give you the right resources. But your personality needs to shine through in your business because that's why it's yours. So, yeah, definitely. And I do believe that our experiences help us serve others all the time because I've been through so much, and every story that I have has been impactful for at least one other person. And that's why we do what we do. That's the reward of living. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really interesting. In my 40s, we had a lot of trauma happen. Like, as a child, I realized in my 40s things came up where I had awarenesses from things that had happened to me as a child. Whether so abuse, both sexually, mentally, all that
Oof.
kind of stuff. And there was really this pivotal point where all of the other stuff that I told you about was going on in my life, and then this got thrown into the mix, and I'm like, you know what? It's probably the first time that I really froze, right? And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here? Who am I now that I know all this stuff? And what am I going to do? What am I going to choose? And it froze me for a while, right? Like, I just needed time to, figure out how I was going to move forward. And I'm like, no, I'm going to lean on things here. I'm going to lean on what I do, because there's huge support there in my family, like, and I got through it, and now I speak out against people, and I hear people like, oh, when the whole Me Too thing, like, oh, it's too much. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not too much. You don't know until you've been through it that that voice can never be loud enough. And I realized that on the other side of that coin, that people were taking advantage of it. But the
Right.
opportunity that allowed people to feel like they weren't being judged, right? And you know what the thing about judgment is? I don't care what people think. So if you can get to a point where you don't care what people think, every time someone judges you and you're willing to accept it, you will make more money. I promise you. So go out there
Right. And
and
go.
go make money.
It's like
Yeah.
go, go, go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what they think.
You mentioned something else. I heard y'all been listening. A commodities trader.
Yeah. So
What?
yeah, so I did international logistics and I was a trading assistant. So I worked in meat and dairy. Like I would move cheese, from the US or Brazil into Russia, like crazy things, right? I was working in NAFTA. Before NAFTA showed up, I was working in Mexico. Like it was a job where I really learned a lot, and I'm really grateful for the 21 years that I was there.
21 years.
21 years,
You're
yeah,
barely
yeah.
21 years old. Oh my
I
God.
know I started so young, right? But it was just at the end, it was just like I could see things were shifting, and I could have fought it more, but I just like they could have done it in a better way, which I think corporate just need. So that's why I go into corporate and I teach communication there, because it's
Yes.
so needed,
Yes, it
right?
is.
And things are so much better than it was when I was there. And the male dominated side of things is starting to shift a lot,
Oh,
right? And
yes,
I'm
definitely.
sure there are many times I could have been fired because I was a woman doing all the stuff the men were doing, right? And I don't know how I got away with it, but I did, and I
You were
want that for
good.
every woman,
You were good. You were
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
You have created the habit of tenacity
Yeah,
that
never
has
give up.
contributed to your outstanding success.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny because someone says, like, what did you do to win? I'm like, you know what? So when you compete internationally in what I was doing, there were 3 rounds, and you have it's number of hits and you have 2 sticks or a single stick within a 1 minute round, and it doesn't sound like a long time. But by the third round, you are completely exhausted because you've given everything in those 2 rounds. You've seen those boxers after 3 rounds. Imagine being fully geared up with, 10 to 15, 20 pounds of gear,
Oof.
and you're hitting full out for like a minute. And then you have a 30-second break, a minute, a 30-second break, a minute. By the third round, you better have gas in the tank because that's where you win. I never gave up. I
Um,
never quit. I never stopped. I'm like, no, I'm never quitting. I don't care how tired I am, right? And then that's why I won, right? It's because I just had that extra drive. And I realized, like, we can be as good a shape as we can be, but if you don't have it up here, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
okay, I want to reiterate one thing that you just said because I want our audience to get it. It's the third round that you win. You got to have gas in the tank for every round, no matter what.
Yeah, I feel like, and I'm sure that your audience, a lot of your audience are entrepreneurs and coaches, right?
Yes.
Like, never, this is your third round. This is your life, right? Like, you never give up. Why do you never give up? Why do you keep going, right? You need to look at that because you have the tenacity and you have something to offer, and you need to get really clear about what you offer. And if it's not clear, you got to find out why and what's getting in your way so that you can get clear and move. You always need to be moving. You want to stay here and have 50 clients the rest of your life, that there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want more, and as an entrepreneur, we all want more. It's just the reality of being an entrepreneur. Then step into it would be the thing that I would say to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, everyone has a story, and it's so amazing. It's one of the things I love about podcasting. It's so
People are
amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
It's so amazing the stories. I mean, the things that have happened in our lives that have pushed us forward. The little things that have counted that we discounted. I love it.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
You can find Laura at leadershipwithlaura.com. I've been all over her website. Tell us what you got coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So it's the new year, everybody, and I'm excited about that.
Yes.
So, like it's time, right, for us to step into it, right? And 2020 was really rough on us as human beings on all levels, personally,
Yes.
professionally, emotionally, spiritually. It really tested us. And the beauty of it is not one person on the planet was unaffected by this. So you have to realize that this doesn't have to define who you are going to be in 2021. That's up to you.
Right.
Okay. So I wanted to devise a very easy to do 3-day leadership challenge where you're going to challenge yourself, challenge your business, and challenge your leadership. And you are actually going to have change in those 3 days. Now, I teach all sorts of leadership and programs and courses, but I really feel like the 3-day leadership challenge, which is happening July 11th, and I'll send you the link, Terry Lynn, so you can post it. Um, it's an hour a day, and you will have change over 3 days and shift if that's what you choose. So that feeds into my gold medal leadership program, which is a 12-week program which allows you not only to get really clear on what success looks like for you and leadership, but if you are a successful leader already, it will show you where you are stuck and how to get past that to move to that next level.
Wow. And we're hearing
Exciting.
it from a three-time world champion. Doesn't get any better than that. Wow. And we'll include all the links.
Yeah.
So the 3-day challenge, is there a cost for that?
There's no cost because I wanted to give people an opportunity. I was going to charge a $10 just to make sure people were accountable. I might do that in February when I do it again, but for now, there's no cost. So come and take that with me. And, I love people. I love hearing about people because, just like you, Terry Lynn, everyone is so unique and inspiring in their own way. So if you don't think you have something to offer, then you are ridiculous because you just haven't tapped into what that is.
Right. You haven't figured it
Okay.
out yet because you
Yeah, so
do.
let's help you do that, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so the challenge, there's no cost for it. Probably in February, like I said, I'll add a $10 just make people accountable to show up. But really, this challenge is for people who want to create something in 2021 and not let last year define who they are, right?
Okay. Well, you'll find that free 3-day challenge in her listening gift. We're going to put that in her listening gift. So you'll go to listeninggift.com and find her 3-day challenge. And what date is it?
January 11th to 13th
Okay.
at 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Okay, and usually I think I might do one the following week as well, but stick with that one for now, and then I can
Okay.
always let you know if there's other ones. Yeah, I run
Okay.
them pretty regularly because people it just seems to be really popular. Yeah,
Okay. Great. Is there
awesome.
anything else you want to tell our audience?
Yeah, my final words for you, and everything is never final, so it's final
Right.
for now. You are enough. And if you are good where you are, that's okay. There's no judgment around that except the one you put on yourself.
Right.
But if you want more and if you want to step into it, and the world needs leaders and success, and the world needs you right now. So if that's something that resonates with you, step up and step into your power, because you know what? No one else is going to help you to do it except you. But all of the people and all of the support you need is right here. It's all around you. Okay. So don't let circumstances dictate who you are and where you want to be. That's a choice that you can take. Okay. And you will be
Great.
enough no matter what you do. That's my final
Great,
words.
great, 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 great. Thank you so much,
Thank
Laura.
you for
It's
having
been a
me.
pleasure to have you as always, and we will connect again very soon. Have a
Everyone,
great
take
day.
care. Thank you so much, Terry Lynn. What a pleasure. I'm so honored that you asked me.
Bye bye now.
Take care.
I want to thank you for listening because this podcast is for you. And don't forget to get your listening gift. You can go to listeninggift.com. That's LISTENING gift.com. Compliments and constructive criticism are welcome. If there is anything you would like me to talk about, just hit me up. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Coach Terry Lynn. That is Coach T as in Tom, ERRILYNN. And remember, create habits and outstanding success with us right here on Chaos.